massive protests start, and it causes major riots. Now, this is not in America, but this is in Argentina. I think what we're seeing, though, in Argentina is absolutely the trajectory we'll have in America. Why? Because the same things that Milei is doing, cutting government, cutting entitlements, understanding how to grow back to really a better Argentina. The same measures he's doing is almost the same measures that we're doing. The situation, though, is just like these protests are breaking out, it's not because Argentina is doing worse, it's actually doing really good. But the problem is all these people have depended on the government and working for the government for so long that their media has propagandized the situation, just like what's happening here. When you have people pushing against Doge, actually what they're pushing against is America doing better, i.e. Argentina. We're going to talk about how those kind of protests will happen here and will cause problems for America. We'll jump into that. Also, we're going to talk about gold. Again, the markets are hurting a little bit. Main Street economics are actually getting better. Two things that are coming really to the forefront when it comes to these tariff situations. Trump doubling down is a good thing because actually what has happened? Gold has skyrocketed and actually just went over again our record today. And then also the dollar. The value of the dollar against other world currencies is up. So this whole transformation and this reformation of America and reshaping America actually is going to be for the best, especially because the two forms of currency that could help us get out of debt, help us make America the best economy ever again, is skyrocketing, and both of those benefit America. Another story, who is AFK? You know, the AFK and RFK, JFK. Who is AFK and what is she doing for the administration? This will blow your mind, and I think this could be a good move because she is going to assist Trump and also all the intelligence to hopefully clean up things that we should know about. And guess who's mad at her? Not just Democrats, Republicans too. I think this shows, again, a sign of reshaping America to a point where they can trust their leadership once more. Also, I laugh because Britain now, because Trump said he wants rare earth minerals from Ukraine, what did Britain do? Britain came out and said, well, we want them too. It's funny how it works, how Trump's great ideas that they dog out all the time, now they're coming and saying, well, instead of giving money back to Britain, Ukraine, and loans and just us giving you free money, we want to help you. Yes, we want to continue this, but we actually want we want the minerals too. It's hard for them to say Trump is right, but Trump is right. Let's dive into these stories and a few more. There's some mind-blowing ones coming up today. Let's dive in. Hey guys, welcome to The Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up. It means the world to us. And to be honest with you, I need your support. We are being attacked vehemently. And it's held our numbers down. You can see it in the last 4 or 5 videos how we've not actually been able to get in front of audiences. It is not because we're not talking truth. I think it's probably because we are talking too much truth. So please help us spread our message across this platform. When you like, it helps the algorithm tell that this story needs to go out to other people. So our hope that the things that we share can benefit you and your family as you gain wisdom and common sense as we live in this crazy world. Now let's jump into these stories. First story I want to bring up is Argentina's protest. And the reason I want to bring it up, and you're like, Kobe, why does that matter? What does that have to do with America? Well, it has to do with America because of this. Javier Milei and the way he's done things in Argentina is almost like a foreshadowing of what America is starting to do, but on a way bigger, grander scale. Javier Milei has changed their budget, actually built a revenue bank, and also started getting them a budget surplus. They're not in deficit anymore. Their money is actually becoming worth something. But what has he done? He has cut government. He has cut spending. He has cut cabinet positions. He's cut advisory boards. He's cut. He's cut entitlements. He's cut things of free money and free handouts. Well, let's talk about what this news that just released on these massive protests. It says, massive protests have erupted where riot police are using rubber bullets against demonstrators in Buenos Aires. The crowds demanded higher pensions and the end to Milei's austerity measures. Now, here's the thing. When you read that, it seems like, oh, they're in turmoil because Milei is running their economy in the ground. Well, no, that's what most of the West is doing. Don't get me wrong. UK is running their economy in the ground. Most of Europe running their economy in the ground. America under Biden running their economy in the ground. What actually is happening is he's not giving out free lunches anymore. And what I mean by that is the public money and the government money and the taxation to then turn around and put in the market to inflate it, like America has been doing for so long. Malay's saying, I'm not doing it anymore. So he started cutting so much. If you go back and look, they were in a massive deficit like America was. His cutting and his changing, almost like his Doge-esque thing, is he's uncovered corruption. And guess what? It's starting to work to where now they're at a surplus. They're actually making money. But what he did is he cut falsities and fake money out. The news media is all against him. The bigger players are all against him. The corrupt bureaucrats in Argentina are all against him. Now let's take that to America. America's corruption, America's deficit, America's money, America's problems are bigger because our economy is bigger. So when Trump starts doing this and Doge starts doing this, do you see the attacks? Do you see the conservative swatted? Do you see the fact that Doge is being targeted? You see doxing is taking place. What is happening is that same massive eruption of chaos and protesting that is going on in Argentina will be so much bigger here because you have bigger players behind it, and you also have bigger measures and more government spending here that will affect more people. Now, for the longest, you hear Democrats right now pushing against Doge. What are they pushing against? It's not the fact that they're pushing against the corruption. They know the corruption's there. But that massive amount of money that's given away is actually what is propping up our economy. Also, that's what's buying their votes. If billions and billions and billions are going to people, then what does that actually mean? That means they're getting the votes because they're passing the bills that provides people to maybe be entitled by the government, be dependent upon the government. Well, if you start cutting that, what is going to happen? Well, you've already seen the USPS, Postal Service Union, which I don't understand why we have government unions, people, but anyways, I digress. You're starting to see most of those people who are losing jobs now complaining. So we want cuts, but then they're like, well, don't cut my job, even though it may be a waste. Don't cut my dependency on the government, even though it may be a waste. Don't cut my food stamps for junk food because it may be a waste. All that may be a waste, and we need to start cutting those things. And when we start cutting those things, what the news media and Democrats are already starting to do is say, you need to take to the streets, this is wrong. Maxine Waters, a Democrat congressman, came out and said, and listen to this now, I'm going to read this quote that she said, because I want you to understand where we're at, and you don't believe that we're going to see what Argentina is facing on a grander scale. This is what happens when a ranking member of Democrats speak, and nobody wants to talk about what she said, but this is a big deal. Maxine Waters on Trump, expectations of violence and even civil war. Now think about what she just said. During the press conference of the House Black Caucus retreat, Congresswoman Waters expressed concerns that the president anticipates violence and might be working towards a new second internal war here in America. She used the word, quote unquote, civil war. You don't believe that they're pushing back on not wanting to not have the waste fraud and all that spread to their people and constituents? They're wanting that spread because that allows them to have the votes and have the power. Dependency allows them power. Independency allows them no power. There's judges right now wrapping Trump up to try to hire all the people he's fired back because they believe that that was corrupt, that he's trying to fix things. So they want to hire the corrupted people back, the people that knowingly were working and making money off the government that was not truly doing their job. They want them to hire them back. And now the judge will probably go before the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court did not help us on the last two things. We had to give $2 billion to USAID still because of judges. Now, if you really want to see Congress do something, they need to impeach these judges. 77 million, elected this president. One person appoints this judge, and this judge supersedes the president, and that makes no sense. So the mass protest in Argentina actually may be a foreshadowing of America because now you have Democratic congressmen calling for it, literally calling for this to take place. Pay attention to this story because I think we're seeing the foreshadowing of what's coming here because our media and our bureaucrats are even bigger and more dangerous than what's happening in Argentina. Now, before we go to the next story, a word from today's sponsor. Have you ever Googled yourself and literally your family members and information of yours came up? The question always comes to mind is how much of my public information is actually on the World Wide Web, on the internet where people could just access it. Not only that, think about all the spam calls you get, all the spam emails you get. I get several a day and have to block and block and block. That's where my friends at Aura, the sponsor of today's video, can help. Aura will help remove your personal information from data brokers and people searching sites to sell your information from and to identity thieves and scammers and more. Aura monitors your personal data, including your social security number, your house number, your phone number. And not only do they check it and monitor it, they will alert you if all of a sudden they find that your information has been compromised. Also, Aura VPN. VPN protects you on the internet, and this was with military-grade protection when it comes to Aura's VPN. It blocks all scam and phishing sites from getting your information in your accounts. What about an antivirus? What about a password manager? 24/7 US-based support. I get all this in one app called Aura. I do not want to leave myself vulnerable. We talk about it all the time. We live in a digitized world. The last thing I want to do is protect my home and not protect myself online. Check out aura.com/themax today. You will not be sorry that you did. My information is mine. My social is my social. My address is mine. The last thing I want is someone else to have it. You can go to my link below, aura.com/themax, and get 2 weeks free. That will be enough for you to see how Aura is an asset to you, because you're going to realize how much you're exposed online. Stop leaving yourself vulnerable. Check out Aura today. Link is in the description. Thank you so much, Aura, for sponsoring today's video. All right, next story. Wall Street actually admits that Doge is doing something good. Listen to this news story. It says Wall Street finally admits Doge is working to detox the government, and this is critical. It may be painful. This is from a top exec that was wanting to remain anonymous. He said, absolutely, we need to cut $1 trillion. It will be growing pains for our market, but we need the government spending and detox from the government being in the stock market. So even the top execs, even though they may not like it, even though it kind of moves the market, it makes them feel bad and maybe get nauseous because of their stock, what he's saying is, we actually need this. If the economy in America wants to flourish and we want to reshape America, this is the way to do it, but it may be growing pains. Look what the tariffs have done though. Just today, the gold is hitting a skyrocketed amount. It's hitting all-time highs, over 3,000. Now it's worth way more than that. But that's why I say, if we want to clean up our debt, you know how you fix it? The dollar's up, by the way. The tariff talks has made the dollar skyrocket compared to all the other currencies. So while you hear the media talking about how bad it is and chaotic it is, actually your dollar is worth more than it's ever been. Your inflation is down more than it's ever been. Right now, go look. Even CNN and MSNBC had to admit that inflation numbers are down, core CPI. So this is what's important when we look at this. We cannot be told by just these talking heads that everything's bad. Actually, the dollar is doing well. The gold is doing great. How we fix it is we say we're going to back that dollar with that gold. Make the gold skyrocket even more. Come back to a currency. Allow the gold and dollar to be revalued, which would make for the debt to maybe even go down. Because the economy will grow at a quicker pace. Gold will be worth more. Our dollars will be worth more, which will allow us to maybe work on our debt, even canceling some of our debt. There's way big stories if you want to deep dive how gold-backed currency, going back to a gold standard and how our dollar can thrive through it to then build up enough money to help start canceling some of our debt, because the value of the dollar will be so much more. It's amazing how if we see what Trump is doing in reshaping, this actually could benefit. But as the top executive said from Wall Street, it will come with some nausea, but it's something that we actually need, is to get rid of some of this government money in our GDP and in our economy, because then we will see actually the stock market make it on merit, make it on business, make it on capital, and make it on reality and not on government false money and taxpayers paying into something that they didn't even know they were paying into. The reason the economy has been held up is because your tax dollars are being taken from you, and inflation is going up because they're printing more money to put into the economy. Gold and dollars going up is the direct result of Trump tariffs. You may not like it. You may think it's chaos. It's actually not. It's called leverage. When we start having a leader who is willing to be a little bit on the bold and abrasive side, it makes these other countries a little scared. And then all of a sudden our currency starts getting stronger and stronger and stronger, which will allow us to have more power and more leverage over these tariffs. Reshaping America will come maybe with some growth pains, but I honestly believe this could be a phenomenal move, especially when you see the dollar and gold skyrocketing. Make sure you are stockpiling both of these. Buy gold mining stocks, buy things that are invested in gold and precious metals, because now they're going up. Now, that brings up to the next story. What's so funny is that Trump has been pushing for rare earth minerals. You've heard that. That's been the biggest push because of what the needs of the rare earth minerals are going to be, especially in this coming season of AI and all that coming on with technology. Well, all of a sudden, he wanted to make that Ukrainian deal. Now, Britain and the UK had nothing to do with that. And to be honest with you, all of Europe was still just funneling money to Ukraine, even when Trump said he was pulling back. Now they're realizing how awesome that deal was. And so now they're trying to get a piece of the action. So now instead of just giving money to Ukraine or loans to try to get money back, they're saying, well, hey, can you involve us in that rare earth mineral deal? I mean, if America, look, they're not wanting anymore, they're trying to hold leverage against you, we'll just take it because we know that actually could benefit us. So it's funny, no one wants to admit that Trump is actually brilliant when it comes to these kind of things. And Europe is starting to realize that more and more. And so now they're trying to get in on this rare earth mineral deal. The play for gold, precious metals, commodities, the play for real tangible assets again, such as rare earth minerals. You think of copper, uranium, zinc, all this stuff, nickel, silver, gold, all that, oil. That is the play, and I think that's what you're going to see the next 10 to 15 years, the monster play of new energy, new technology, and new independence and sustainability, but it's all going to come from what's in our ground that God has blessed us with. It's amazing how we make a full circle and realize what was underneath our feet the whole time could be what actually takes us to the next step in American exceptionalism and American economy growing. It's what's in our ground. And if we then turn around and value our dollar and our economy based on that, and not some speculative crypto or not some, the weight and the trust of the government, if we back it on stuff that's in our ground, we have now changed our whole economy and reshaped it to a point where it's actually worth something again. And not on the trust of our federal government, not on the falsity of printing money, but on commodities, on gold, on the rare earth minerals that now everybody's trying to get their hands on, all because Trump brought attention to it. Do y'all know who she is? Now, a lot of people don't. I actually did a little reading on her. It's kind of cool. This is someone they call AFK. Her name is Amaryllis Fox Kennedy. Now, this is RFK Jr.'s daughter-in-law. She used to be ex-CIA, but listen to what she's gotten. A lot of people don't like her, especially even on the Democrat, but also the Republican side. Because you know what she's tasked to do? You know what she's fixing to do? She's fixing to be over the intel's agencies trying to find the mysterious black budgets, trying to find the information that has been deep and dark in our government. President Trump has considered Fox Kennedy for a CIA deputy director. Arkansas Senator Tom Cotton, chairman of the Powerful Intelligence Committee, intervened. Lawmakers are worried given this role to AFK might shatter America's premier espionage agency. What it means is they're scared that she's actually going to find the money that they've been putting back. And instead of doing intelligence, what other things are they doing? Now, do I want to make sure America is safe? And I believe that CIA plays a good part in that. I do. But I also believe that there's some times that they may not play to the up and up, and they don't have the true checks and balances, and they don't have the oversight they need from trusted sources. And here's what I mean. We've seen time and time again where these intel agencies has actually been used against Americans instead of for America. This is where AFK comes in. It says she has become a prominent CIA skeptic, especially over the situation with her family. Listen to this. It says she managed the campaign, of course, for RFK Jr. last year, but promised to renew the work of his late uncle, JFK, who once wanted to splinter the CIA into 1,000 pieces because of some of the things and secrets that were in there. Now, let's talk about Russ Vought. Russ Vought is OMB, the Office of Management and Budget. Listen to this. It says, rather than working inside just one of the three-letter agencies to reform it, the director of the OMB has asked why can't she just be over it for the president. Fox Kennedy accepted. Passed over by the job of the CIA, she now oversees the entire CIA budget as well as the budget offices of 17 agencies collectively getting intelligence for the community. But what does she do? She helps Tulsi and John Ratcliffe. She helps them not only make sure they have the funds they need, but also know some of the dangerous things that were being at play, some of the black budgets that no one knew about. She's starting to make sure that America stays on the up and up, and that it's not targeting Americans and taxpayers. It's actually doing its job working overseas. She continued, with standards to boilerplate and make sure the insurement of not, quote, not a penny of the taxpayer dollars is wasted. She will work on the president's agenda to protect the country, but also more than that, protect Americans. That's important. Because I think there's people like the Tom Cottons, the kind of the Republican rhinos who's tied into intelligence, and even some of the Democrats, where they want to protect America, but it doesn't matter what it costs, and if it costs the taxpayers a lot of money, or if it costs taxpayers safety and security or intelligence, it's part of it. It's the greater cause for America. And what she's coming and saying, look, I've been a skeptic of all these three-letter agencies. So now I'm not only going to help them get to where they need to be, and I want them to protect America, but more than that, I don't want them to waste American money and also be looking and doing things against Americans personally. I think this is a good move. And I think, again, we don't hear these kind of stories, but these are the kind of stories that we need to hear, because I think this is, again, a move of transparency from the OMB, but also the Trump administration. These are the things that we should be talking about, how we want openness with our government and not secrets. I think this is a huge move. Now let's wrap it up with one kind of funny story. It's kind of oxymoronic, and then we'll end today. This is a new story from Modernity Times. Listen to this. You know how UN pushes this initiative of climate and keeping the earth green, and a lot of these initiatives are not doing that at all. Listen to this. This is just unbelievable. Rainforest is now decimated to build a mega road to the UN Climate Change Summit. It says tens of thousands of acres of the Amazon rainforest is being cleared in order to construct a 4-lane highway for the global elites to drive to COP20, which is the climate summit, after disembarking from their private jets. So they say they're fighting for the earth, all the while they're actually tearing the earth up to make a new venue instead of using something we already have. So they're literally doing it inside the rainforest, and they're literally making a 4-lane highway to get to it, to then leave it. Now, I want you to hear me out. They're decimating the rainforest that they're so-called wanting to keep green, to build a building to say, look at us, look at what we've done to help the climate. All the while they're literally tearing forest up that they've pushed to not do for the last 50 years. The story reads on that thousands upon thousands upon thousands of acres will be hurt. They said tens of thousands of acres cleared, destroyed of the rainforest to build roads to this climate summit for them to look and say, look at what we've done for the rainforest. Look at how we've helped the earth. That is, to me, epitome of what we see in the world when it comes to global leaders. They want you to be at a certain level and do certain things, but they're above all that. And this is a prime example. Only the top of the top go to these kind of conferences. And while they're telling you to not use gas and to not let cows use the restroom in the pastures, and so we need to get rid of them and we need to go to some kind of manufactured meat, they're destroying the rainforests that they said that they said that we shouldn't be doing. They're destroying the lands that they're supposed to be trying to make sure they're okay. They're destroying the environment that they're supposed to be keeping safe. All in the name of building this big monstrosity of a building and this 4-lane road going to it to make sure that these elites can get where they go so they can pat themselves on the back. I just thought that was kind of a funny story, an oxymoronic story to kind of end today. It's funny how this works. It's kind of like how our leaders tell us they're doing something, they're actually doing something different. They're going to save us money, but they're actually spending our money. It's how it works. So when we talk about, like, for instance, the mass protests that's happening in Argentina, it's actually because Argentina is doing the right thing. But the people that are protesting are the people that's been told to protest, and that they've bought into, hook, line, and sinker, the narrative. The whole point of today's video is to say this. Don't just listen to people speak about what's going on. Do your research. When you start doing your research and you start digging a little deeper, you're going to realize, wow, I don't know if that was true or not. Wow, I didn't know that actually was happening. Wow, I love the fact that we're actually doing this instead of what the media's telling me. Isn't that amazing how that works? when we start putting our big boy pants on, we can actually start seeing the world for what it is. And how, if we truly want independence and we really want to make sure that we're kept safe, is that we start digging in a little bit and researching ourselves, and then we'll realize who actually is on our side and who's not. Guys, thank you for watching. Pay attention to these stories. Maxine Waters' comments about, internal wars here, that's crazy. War on U.S. soil because that Doge is trying to save people money? It's unbelievable. Trying to keep us from having fraud and problems? Unbelievable. Pay attention. God bless.